Okay, let's talk about the messy middle. I mentioned in the introduction, if you got a chance to take a peek at that video, that change is messy, and it's messy because we're dealing with people. So let's take a look at what is actually happening in the messy middle. All right, and I'm gonna invite you to scan the chart here. Just kind of scan it over. I'm gonna cover some things. And as you're reading, I just want you to maybe put a check mark or a star by or take note of the things that you see are happening on your team. Like how much of what I've described happens in the messy middle is actually happening for your team right now. Okay, so the first thing is the things that there's a lot of it going on, the high things. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion. And that confusion is driven by unclear priorities. People are being pulled in different directions. There's not a lot of criteria for decision making. So it feels like we're waiting for decisions. We're not sure who's deciding sometimes. And we don't even know how we decide, potentially, depending on what the change has been about, especially if there's an org structure or reporting structure change that's resulting from it. Now I don't know, does my boss decide? Do I get to decide? There's resistance, and resistance is just people unwilling to adapt or come along with what you want. This is where you're going to see if you had communicated a business decision and people were for it, they may have been nodding their heads and politely agreeing. If they're not really on board with you, you're going to start to see that surface in the messy middle. Okay, people are going to hold on to the old thing. They're going to keep calling the person they used to call. They're going to not like that they have to dial an 800 number now instead of talking to their HR person, for example. You're going to see people try to revert back to their old behaviors, back to what they're used to. It's not because they're bad people. Resistance isn't bad. It's because they're human beings. And we like routine. We like to not have to think about things. We like, think about it. Someone said to you, if you wear a watch, hey, wear your watch on the other arm today. You're going to be uncomfortable, aren't you? Right? It's new. And your desire, every part of your being, if you were asked to do that's going to, your brain's going to be saying, put it back, put my watch back where it was. And so what we see is resistance in the messy middle, people wanting to put things back because that's their humanness. The other thing we see is a lot of wait and see. Like, I'm not opposed, but I'm not for it. I'm just going to sit back on the curb. We've had this bus come by before. I'll catch the next one. Thank you very much. I'll just wait and see if this is real. So people know, they've been told, they heard you, but they're not doing anything. Not yet. Very common to see those kind of behaviors. I just put them in a bucket of resistance. The other thing you'll start to see is friction. It's very difficult to collaborate across boundaries. It's very difficult to get alignment. It feels like the teams are running in different directions. We aren't sharing best practices. We're barely getting our own work done, let alone having the time or space to think more strategically or more collaboratively about how we might do this together. It's kind of every person for themselves a little bit. All right, those things go up. I'm very curious how, what you guys are seeing on your projects and your companies. Sometimes people tell me when I'm teaching this in a class or I'm giving a speak, they'll say, Courtney, do you live on the walls of our office? Like, oh my goodness, we could have written every one of these things and said, yes, I see this on my team. Are you stalking us? Nah, I don't have time for that. All right. Things that go down are morale. When there is a lot of change and there's this constant need to climb and be in a learning curve and figure things out and build relationships, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy. And you'll see, like, people are tired. You'll also see if the decisions weren't, if the people that were not empowered to make the decisions, they don't agree with the decisions. They feel like the changes are being done unto them versus they got to be empowered to make them. It is very common that you're going to see anger, resentment, and frustration be very high on your teams. It's completely understandable. Anger is our response. We feel like something's happening that's not fair. Resentment is just dormant anger, right? And so frustration, all those things, very common. Your people aren't bad. These are normal emotional responses when we're in the messy middle, because you have human beings who prefer to be comfortable, confident, right? And we've disrupted that. It's like if someone woke you up from a nap, you're not going to feel very great about it, right? Don't wake me up from my nap. And then if people may also see like there's just a lot more work to do now. And sometimes, the morale suffers because they don't think that's fair, or they don't think it's doing any good. Like we're climbing, it feels like we're working really hard, but we're not really climbing out of this. It's not getting better. And so all of those things start to really take a toll on morale and how satisfied people are at work. And then all of that, when you put all of it together, there's no way that this stuff doesn't have a serious impact to performance. If I have low morale, it's difficult to get things done. I'm in a learning curve. I can't get the washout, and I want to, and that's frustrating. So if I can't focus, I can't get my work done. I don't know who to call. There's not a lot of trust. I don't trust the decisions. You're going to see performance drop, whether because I just don't have capable processes, or I don't have the skills, or I don't have the information, or I just don't want to. Like I'm tired and I'm not going to put in more than what we can put in. The messy middle is the thing I hear the most when I teach this, other than you're stalking me. That's the first thing I hear the most in my classes. The second thing I hear is this is where we live. No, we never climb out of this. This is our constant. This is not, you showed a picture, Courtney, where we're in the messy middle and we climb out. We're not climbing out. And now we're back to what we talked about in the opening. This is the aftermath. It's not a temporary messy middle unless you actually help people build a change plan and help them climb out of it. Okay. The other thing that's really important to understand about the messy middle is what leadership's about. We hear often that the messy middle is the place where the most faith in leadership is lost. I will say that again. It is in the messy middle where the most faith in leadership is lost. What does that sound like in your organizations? Have you ever heard anyone say, whose idea was this anyway? It's an example, right? We had an idea, we made a decision, we communicated it with the benefits, the value, the excitement. Hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do A, and we're going to get B. Isn't that great? And when people are in the messy middle, it doesn't feel great. And they feel like questioning the people who promised them something great, because this is anything but, right? And that feeling of whose idea was this? How did they think this was going to work? How come no one thought of this? You see how that starts to be a real cost to a faith in leadership? At Slingshot25, we say all the time, change will get you into a mess. Leadership will get you out. And it's important, if you want to navigate change and get the benefits of your projects, your strategic initiatives, they were built with a business case, right? They were built with an opportunity. If you want to get that, you have to think about change management. You also have to think about leadership development. We do leadership development. We do leadership coaching, all with this idea that change is going to get you in a mess and leadership will get you out. What you want to get to is this. Yes, we did something hard, but wow. And you don't get this. You don't get people that are excited, that are energized, right? That are living on the other side of that curve without a change plan, without a very deliberate, intentional way to go about leading that, and strong leadership skills. You need leaders who understand the messy middle, you understand communicating business decisions, and leaders who just care about people, right? Then you can have this. And we can help you with that. We do coaching and we do leadership development. All right. So from the messy middle, I want you to pause. I hopefully you're taking notes. Like, what resonates with you? What do you see happening on your team? And of these, like, what kind of challenges is your project facing as a result? Okay. Welcome to the messy middle. Good luck with that. Take some time, figure that out.